Welcome back to Just Giants with Grump and the Cranky Fan, your favorite Giants podcast. I'm your host, the Football Grump. With me, as always, is Mike, the Cranky Fan, and we are back for a Week 13 game review. The Giants lost to the Patriots on Monday night in primetime, 33-15, and I promise you it was uglier than that score. Following that, Joe Schoen held his annual press conference leading into the bye week. We have a bye week coming up. So we get our nice long December vacation. Cranky Fan, how you doing?
Thanks for the question. I understand the question. Thank you. Uh, well, we beat Florida State last week. That was the high of my weekend. Uh, just got back from Durham, got to see Gator Hoops play Duke. That was fun. The fly in the ointment this weekend was I had to waste my Monday night watching a team that is going nowhere. Just looked like a team that might have been checked out a little bit. Uh, same old, same old. We only have 5 weeks left of the season before we can start over again. Just
Finally.
a rough watch. It was just a rough watch, and it was one of those where, you're kind of hoping that, well, we've been hanging around with these teams, and the fourth quarter collapse. This is one of the few games this year where we never seemed like we were in it, and just you start doing the math really quickly. Well, if they score again, there's no chance we're coming back, and sure enough, they didn't.
Yeah, I we got a bunch of stuff to get into here. There's a lot of facets to the game itself, and then the Joe Schoen presser is probably a bit of a conversation as well. So jumping right into the game was pathetic right off the bat. What makes it pathetic is that I do think that there was a pathway to actual victory in this game, despite everything. You have guys coming back. This is the healthiest the defense has been in a while. You had your full secondary back. So you had Paulson Adebo and Cordell Flott, Javon Holland, and Tyler Nubin. And you're going against a New England Patriots team that is missing their left tackle, just went to IR. Their left guard was out as well. And their center was questionable because he was sick, which is just one of those things where it's like, even if he's playing, he's not playing at 100%. If you're listed on the injury report with illness, it's probably not, a sinus infection. It's probably something closer to the flu. And you're just, if you've ever had the flu, you're not really much of a human being. So, that, with all that there, and then on offense, you have Jaxson Dart coming back, which, I know Jameis Winston had played pretty darn admirably in the 2 games he had to play, kept this team, really competitive in those games, firing the ball downfield. But Jaxson Dart is your future. He's your spark plug on offense. So, there should have been opportunity for this game to be like a back and forth situation or exciting. This game, I promise you, was over in the first quarter. It was a disaster. So for me, it looked like a complete lack of effort from the entire team, starting from the opening kickoff, right? Like the opening kickoff, New England took to like midfield. Special teams was nowhere to be found in this game.
We've seen special teams be better than it has been in previous years, but this was a massive regression. And when you see massive regression that way, that's effort is involved. And that's between the margins you see bad things. And that to me was this early sign that there's going to be one of those games. And just compounding the fact that we looked like we had a lack of effort and a lack of aggression was the hyper aggression and the hyper of a New England team, a team that's won 10 in a row now, a team that, smells blood. They smell not only making the playoffs, they smell the division, they smell the 1 seed in the AFC. And you saw a team that was focused, motivated, playing to the echo of the whistle against a team that looks like they're starting to make plans for Aruba.
Yeah. And I don't want to take anything away from the Patriots too. I do think that Mike Vrabel coaches his team really well. I do think that they have some better than average special teams. I think that he gets the most out of his players. I think he's an excellent coach. So I think that factors in as well. But let's start with some interesting coaching decisions here. There were three interesting coaching decisions that I thought of. Number one, which I thought was a departure, and I didn't really go back to check, but I'm pretty sure it was a departure, was choosing to defer the opening kickoff. This year, the Giants have been getting off to fast starts. I think that's helped them. They've scored on their opening drive frequently this year, especially since Jaxson Dart came in for Russell Wilson. They've been aggressive with that, and then just choosing to defer in this game, I thought was an odd situation. But I certainly think that set the tone in the wrong way.
It's a very passive move. Listen, I am a Spurrier child. I grew up with Steve Spurrier, where you get the ball, you pound them, you score, you score, you score, you put the game out of reach early. And Brian Dable and Mike Kafka are offensive guys. You would think in their DNA is score, score, score. And I don't know what the thought was to defer, but I've never liked deferring. I understand you get the ball in the second half, blah blah blah. But to me, I don't like to be in a situation where I'm always behind when I have the ball. I want to have the opportunity to at least, put pressure on them to say, okay, your offense is on the field now. You're down 3, you're down 7. And also, I also like getting their defense on the field first because, you know, it's miles, it's tread. Your first drive is 6 minutes or something. They haven't had a blow yet. They've already been on the field for 6 minutes. So I didn't like it. I always want the ball first. And it was just kind of one of several passive moments we saw from Kafka and company tonight.
Yeah, so I don't feel super strongly about it, but I do think that like double dip scoring hypothesis of scoring right before the half and then getting the ball back and scoring again in that 14-point swing, I think it's a little overrated. I think that's somewhat 4D chess, and I think it's something that you should probably consider more often when things are like more equal between the teams. Like I guess you might be looking at this like, oh, we want to put our healthy defense on the field or something. Like, no, I mean, I just want to score points right away. Like, and I think that helps. It helps motivate your team. I think that it also, it puts the onus on them to respond. I think it's just overthinking sometimes. Just get the ball and score points, because when you're a bad team, that's what you got to do anyway. You got to score points.
You need the ball as many times as possible. Yeah. And also, I don't know the numbers. I'm sure you can figure it out, but how many teams actually do score the wraparound 7-7 or even 7-3? It doesn't happen as much as you think.
Yeah, and also this, like, the analytics say, like, I have seen multiple times now different analytic groups coming up with completely different percentages for things. So the analytics is not one big general formula. It's
right.
Not a consensus. So whatever with the analytics, like, I can see the argument for both. In this situation, I'd rather take the ball first. And again, I don't feel so strongly about it that I'm like, well, Kafka's not my head coach now. You know what I mean? No. So, but I did think it was interesting, because I think it was a departure from what we've done all year that I think was working. Like, so I thought that was odd. Sticking with the offense, the other interesting decision, which I think was predictable, was they completely neutered Jaxson Dart. And I think that we saw the results, right? So, like, we knew that this was probably going to happen because of the concussion, because of the narrative, because they haven't shut up about it since the preseason. And by they, I mean everyone. We knew that Jaxson Dart was just not going to have a lot of designed runs. Some idiot offensive player told Jordan Runnan that he didn't think that they were going to run any, mainly because they didn't practice any. Like, don't tell reporters that, okay? Just keep your shit in house, man. But in general, I think you saw the results. Like, I think Jaxson Dart looked frustrated. I think he looked shackled. I think that it didn't help the run game any. He's not great under center right now at this point in his career. So you have a lot of shotgun snaps. It just. Yeah, I get it. I hope that it doesn't stay that way, because honest to God, like, I understand you want to protect your quarterback, and I'm not sitting here having the argument with everyone about, like, design runs and how many is too many, whatever. It's just, I'll say it like this. You take Jaxson Dart, this is part of his skill set, and this is part of who he is, and you are never going to take all of the protected. At best, you're going to get Josh Allen in terms of knowing when to slide and knowing not. But when the ball's in his hands and the game is on the line, he is ready and willing and able to take a hit, and that's what's going to happen. And when you tell him not to do it and you take it out of the game, it's going to suffer a little bit. The team's not good enough right now to have a running game without the threat of his legs.
They've taken him running design runs out, but they have not taken out of the game his protecting yourself on sidelines or things. But We have to remember Jaxson Dart is still a rookie, and he's still a rookie that hasn't played that many games. Now, he didn't start the first 4 games. He's been out for 2 games. He is not as polished, and he's not as, knowing the playbook like the back of his hand, where he can just, well, I can just sit back in the pocket and I can just throw, 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 throw. He's not there yet. He's not developed yet. So when you take away the fallback that he has and the special sauce that he has, you're really hurting your offense. And I agree with you. I think it was very noticeable in the very beginning that they were not. This was not going to be the normal offense you see when he's on the field. And I'm going by. You talked a lot about concussions and the protocol from concussions and coming back. Um, when he's cleared to play, he's cleared to play. If you're protecting him because you're afraid of him getting hurt, that's not the way to go through life. If medically and it's been, he's good to go. I don't. Why be afraid?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that this is just like an optics move and a PR move, and I don't think it worked, right? Because he took maybe like a total of 4 hits in this game. The first hit he took looked like a pretty normal sack to me, but I mean, some of it, some of it is going to be a narrative no matter what, right? Like going into this game, and this is no shot at Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. It's just in general, this is how NFL broadcasts work. There is a script on things that they were ready to talk about, and they were ready to talk about this anyway. He took his first sack of the game, which included a hit, and man, they were ready to talk about it. And the Giants offensive linemen came all up in their face to start pushing guys around and whatever. And maybe that's setting the tone of we're not going to tolerate this. But then he took a giant hit on the sideline. So that and for what it's worth, if you watch the one replay, he gets right up. I mean, like literally, like he bounces on his shoulder, gets on his feet, and just starts jogging back towards where the huddle would be if there wasn't a fight that broke out. But so he's fine. But it is a dramatic looking hit that is easily replayable over and over and over again on B-roll things that, I mean, I guarantee you we're going to see that hit during the off season. So I think the PR optics of listen, we're going to coach him to go down, whatever. I don't think it worked.
No, not at all. I mean, you're right about the optics because I was at a bar last night in Durham and like a big sports bar, and PTI was on or one of those shows, and it was like topic 1, Jaxson Dart hasn't learned or something to that effect. And it's like, you know, that's the narrative about him. It's like, and you can even hear him saying, like, every Buck and Aikman said it, the sideline people say it, the pregame shows say it's like he has to learn. He hasn't learned yet. He hasn't learned. So when you have all of this, like it's drilled in your head to expect something, and you see shots that shot out of bounds while legal, you know, probably didn't have to be at 100% full throttle. My theory was that New England went into this game to try to knock him out of the game. Not necessarily dirty, but they're going to hit him and hit him hard. And when you have an opportunity to nail him, nail him. Again, letter of the law, that's legal. But did he need to be drilled as he's about to go out of bounds? I don't know. And that's where you see. Actually, I'm kind of happy you saw a guy like Theo Johnson come over. I mean, how he handled it may have been a little weak, but at least they're defending the guy, and they're sick of doing it. So,
yeah. So I think you're probably right. Like I can see Mike Vrabel being that guy. I know I'm certainly that guy. If guys are gonna lay him the fuck out, go ahead.
Let's put it this way: if it was Sean Payton, it might be a little different. They may have been actually trying to injure the guy, knocked him out. I don't think Vrabel was doing that, but I definitely think they were echo to the whistling this game for sure.
I think that they came to try and set a physical tone and not let Jaxson Dart feel comfortable scrambling. You know what I mean? Because in that play was not a design run. It was a scramble in which he was making, and it was working. You know what I mean? It's something that he's good at, and so he's going to keep doing it because he's good at it. I think it was second down and 13 or something, and he gained 12 yards. I definitely think that was something that was coached into them, knock this guy out. If he's running, hit him and don't let up. It was, in my opinion, it was a gamble because that linebacker Ellis is not like the fastest guy, so he had to come from the other side of the formation to run towards the sideline. So he's going seriously like 100 miles an hour. Like that's him at full steam. So if Jaxson Dart had decided to go out of bounds, and I know whatever, he's tiptoeing the sideline or whatever, but I don't think that Ellis was going to be able to slow up. So if he decided at 10 yards he was going to go out of bounds, I think that would have been a very bad penalty. So I mean, it was a little bit of a risk, and Jaxson Dart played right into it, whether he knew it or not. I don't know if he even saw him coming, but in terms of like Jaxson Dart still hasn't learned. Like, I don't think that I think that the game in which he got injured, which was the Bears game, the game in which he got injured was the game that he was protecting himself the most we've seen all year. He was sliding, he was going out of bounds, he was avoiding hits. He had an unfortunate play happen. What he said after this game was, and like, he was like, I hope everyone has time to go back and look at my high school film. This is how I play. I play football. I don't play soccer. So, I mean, like, I think that he is learning, but the optics of him learning from the cat, like you and me and Giants fans who watch every single game and listen to content all week and whatever, where we're dialed in, we'll be able to see the incremental of like him quote unquote learning. But the outside perception, it's never going to look like he's learning because this is how he plays. So I just wouldn't expect this kind of thing to totally go away.
And it's very nuanced what learning means. Learning doesn't mean, we're going to change the playbook so we no more design runs. It's not going to mean I'm going to, on 4th and 1, go down, try to truck somebody like a Tim Tebow. The learning is the unnecessary hits that, that, that play out of bounds, if he, like you said, if he veered off like 11 yards and, what down was that? Was that 3rd down?
That was 2nd down.
Okay. It's 2nd down. He picked up 10 already, I think in Jaxson Dart in 3 years from now or 4 years now probably veers out maybe a yard or 2 earlier, not worrying about that extra yard. That's the learning thing more.
On 2nd down, yeah. On 3rd down, I think he's still going to be like, maybe he does something different. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe he jumps forward or something like that, so he's not taking on the chin or whatever.
Yeah, I have no problem with the design runs and that because it's very effective in this league. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a multiple-time MVP in this league because of design runs. It's just like when it's unnecessarily putting yourself at risk, that's the stuff he'll learn, and that's not going to happen overnight either. But don't put that in the same bucket as every time he takes a hit, every time he gets sacked, every time he runs at all. And I think that's what people are doing now. It's just easy to pile on because a lot of people who just parrot what they hear from ESPN or what they read all week or the fan. I mean, Jesus Christ. I yesterday morning when I was going to the airport, I had the fan on the car. I don't know why I did, but I did. And that's like that is number one narrative. Him. Like, well, maybe not, but that's the talking point.
Overall, I think that they not just the design runs, I think in general he looked a little frustrated in this game. He didn't look comfortable. And I mean that even in the pocket, like scanning the field. It looked like, this is my interpretation, this could be entirely wrong. I'm not, throwing $100 to the middle of the table to bet on it. But it felt to me like he felt as though when he was in the pocket, he had to make things happen with his arm because they didn't want him to make things happen with his legs. I mean, in terms of running forward. So like on the 2-point conversion play that he did, that was pretty amazing. Where he ran back and forth like 3 times to extend the play until Darius Slayton got open enough to make a good catch on a good throw too, to keep it away from defenders. He was not wide open by any stretch of the imagination either. So, but it did kind of appear to me that that's what it looked like. It looked like he felt constrained to stay behind the line of scrimmage and make the plays with his arm that he can make, but probably with a better team, with a better coach and a better offense and better receivers.
And also, he's still a rookie and he was out for 2 weeks. And, it's not like somebody's been out for 4 years and it's like they missed 2 weeks and they're back. You get back into your normal groove a lot faster. He's still learning the nuance of playing in this league. So,
and played earlier than I think he was probably supposed to. I think if all things work out, the way you want, you're probably starting him in November.
Yeah, right about probably after the bye. We're probably having the if all things, if Winston started instead of
Wilson.
Wilson, or if Wilson played halfway decent, he probably would have been those whatever quarterback that was would probably be playing up to about this point. I
Well,
don't
and
think this
also
team
if the head coach isn't on a hot seat, right? If a head
that's
coach
true
is
too.
just coming in this year and this is his team, he's got a
Mhm.
longer leash where he doesn't have to yank Russell Wilson because he's playing bad. So I think all those things combined, yeah, agreed.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, all right, I got nothing else on Jaxson Dart. Well, you want to flip to defense?
No, no, I got one more. You said
Okay.
there's like a couple of coaching decisions you thought were odd. There's a third one, which we haven't brought up. It was the decision um, late in the first half by Kafka.
Two.
Not go for it on fourth down.
Oh, interesting. That was actually not my third thing, but go ahead, jump into that.
Yeah, I mean,
Where were they on the field? Let me.
it was
I
like
have notes here, but go ahead.
25, 30 yard line about. It was, well, maybe more like 35, 40 around there. You know, those are moves that teams or like college teams that are playing the high school the homecoming game against Alabama do because when they don't want to get shut out or they want to make a game respectable. I, you know, especially in a season where you have 2 wins, especially where you're really auditioning for your job to be like, what kind of culture are you setting up? What kind of philosophy are you? I just thought it was weak. And one of those things where, if I'm kind of evaluating Kafka as a potential, you know, taking the interim tag off of this job or other general managers thinking that he's going to be my coach, I thought that was just a pretty weak decision.
Yeah, because it didn't work, right? Like so
But they
on
work
that.
too, but
Yeah, well, so they were on their own 40-yard line. The kickoff was returned to the 31. They had a 5-yard pass and then a 4-yard pass. So that's 9 yards. It was 4th and 1. And then they did the 4th down like lineup, and then they took the penalty to punt.
yeah.
Which I get. Like, okay, well, it's 4th and 1 from your 40. You're not a very good team today. I don't know what's going on, but like here you are deferring the ball. It's very late in the it's after the 2-minute warning, so there's not much time left. I think there was like a minute 10, something like that. And I know you don't want to give the ball to the Patriots on your own 40-yard line, but you set yourself up to score a touchdown or a field goal in this scenario. You want to take this to the end of this first half with points so that you can then get more points on the back of it to start the third quarter. Instead, you're too afraid of the Patriots being, getting the ball at your 40, so you punt it away, and in literally 1, 2, 3, 4 plays, they were able to kick a 28-yard field goal anyway.
And look, the game is a little different than it was even last year with these new kickoff rules that, you know, not wanting the ball on the 40-yard line. Well, something, a kickoff or something, they may get the ball back, almost as close. So
Yeah.
I just thought it was, kind of like, playing scared.
It
And
was, yeah.
yeah,
I had forgotten about that. So the other Kafka coaching point is going to switch us to the other side of the ball, and that was the defense. The defense was like I said at the top of this, the healthiest they've been in weeks. They had a matchup advantage with the Patriots being injured beyond belief on like one side of the offensive line. A part of the reason that maybe they didn't dominate is that Abdul Carter didn't play for like the first quarter. So I mean, we'll get into the defense, I guess, in a second. But I don't know how much there's to say other than they were just not fucking good. But so Abdul Carter, right? This is a multifaceted thing. Number one, unacceptable. Unacceptable at this point. Like, it's been happening all year. We found out. We found out that Brian Daboll has been fining him behind closed doors for this reason. He doesn't seem to give a shit, which is very frustrating. And I don't know if it's because the team isn't doing well or because it's who he is or both. It's certainly because nobody else is holding him accountable within the building. I know Art Stapleton or whoever it was saying, well, I think Brian Burns is a leader. I think Brian Burns is trying to be a leader, but I don't think that's who Brian Burns is naturally. You know what I mean? I don't think he's like a guy like Jameis Winston, who I think is a natural leader. That's just who he is. He's magnetic, and people rally around him, and he's good at getting them riled up. I don't know if that's really who Brian Burns is. I don't know if there's anybody on the defense that's like that. It certainly doesn't seem that way. But number one, unacceptable. Like, this is just like, not only have you been fined all year for it, it's been an issue all year. Now you've been publicly called out 2 fucking weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, you've been called out for it by your coach, by the media. There were stories like you had to defend yourself. You said it's on me. I was getting treatment. I wasn't asleep. That story is not true. It doesn't matter. This should be embarrassing for you individually. I am a problem. And 2 weeks later, you're nailed again. And so Kafka sits you for an even longer time. So, in my opinion, like, wasn't enough. I think it. I don't know. If I think that Mike Kafka's in a different situation than perhaps Brian Daboll or whatever coach drafts you or whatever coach is a stable situation. I'm the coach. If there was a new coach this year that drafted Abdul Carter, I think that you have to be harder than that. For an interim head coach to come in here, I don't really know what you're supposed, but I do support the idea of continuing to sit him because the behind the closed doors discipline clearly doesn't work. This gets him mad. He was upset having to answer the questions in the locker room after the game. And by the way, he said that it happened early this week. So we're talking like last Tuesday, last Wednesday, he missed whatever meeting or was late to whatever meeting. So he knew for a long time he was going to have to face the music on these. He was pissed off in the locker room. Then he got pissed off on Twitter. So, like, it's clearly making him angry. Now it's on him to turn that anger on himself and just make himself a professional. So I at least support the idea of sitting him for periods of time. You think he should have sat for longer?
I think he sat for longer because Mike Kafka is a little unusual as being an interim coach where he's made some major decisions since he's been interim coach. He's just not carrying the water for this team until the season's over. The first thing he did, he basically benched the starting quarterback. When I mean that, from Russell Wilson to Jameis Winston. Then he fired a coordinator. How many times have you seen an interim coach do that in the final 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of a year? Hardly ever happens. So
that's a good point.
He's been given some sort of carte blanche to, you're the coach. You're not just a placeholder until we get a new coach. Right now, you're the coach, and you're making major decisions. So he should have the ability to, and the green light from Joe Schoen, the Maris, whoever, that I'm going to discipline these guys the way I want to. Now, I'm going to use an analogy here. I think a lot of people who listen to this, John Tortorella, Ranger coach. Well, he got to start. He was with the Lightning, and he was an interim coach. And the first thing he did after about a week was he benched Vinny LeCavier, who was, probably one or two greatest players in Lightning history, because he was loafing at practice or something, and he benched him. And it was like, who is this guy think he is? His interim coach making a major decision like that. But he got respect. He got respect very quickly from the rest of the team. And they went on to win a Stanley Cup after he bounced around the league after. But that to me is, again, we're going back to Mike Kafka. Not did they win or lose this game? It's like, we are evaluating you. And if you've been given that free reign to, fire coordinators, do something to get the respect of your team. And maybe we won't see performances like them dogging it, against the Patriots. Maybe, my playing time is affected. Potentially, if I have any bonus incentives coming up, if I'm not going to play, there's a new sheriff. The old sheriff got fired. Be a sheriff. Don't be a placeholder.
Don't be a deputy.
Don't be a deputy.
How long did he bench him for?
2 games, I think, 1 or 2 games. It was a thing. It was a major thing in Tampa when he did that.
So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. My only thing is that, like, 2 games in an 82-game season, what is the 17-game equivalent of that?
Well, but
I get your point. You're making a good point.
282 is like easily absorbed into like, oh, he's going to miss a couple games, no big deal. The NFL season, you have to kind of exponentially make it more of an impact. So missing a quarter or missing a half, he's still coming back and he's still playing. You have to make him like, you're not playing, you're sitting. And if these guys are, we all know how competitive professional athletes are. And even someone who's, perceived as being lazy or, just not giving a shit, like a him or an Evan Neal or something, they're still competitive and nothing irks them more. They can take, they may clap back at Twitter, but they can take criticism. But when you take away their playing and that competitiveness, that should give a message not only to the when you're getting penalized, but the rest of the people around you that could be you if you fuck up.
I don't hate Abdul Carter or anything like that. I do echo some sentiment from Mike Kafka that he's a 21-year-old kid, and I get it. I get that this is part of a growing process for a lot of guys, especially guys who are uber talented and have been uber talented their whole life. And now they have lots of money on top of that. At the same time, this is a very quick business where Kadarius Toney was uber talented his whole life too, and now he is nowhere. And that is a tale as old as time. That's your one hit wonder story. You know what I mean? Like, there are plenty of bands out there that come up with some song that you think they are just going to be the next biggest thing, and then they're gone because they just don't follow it up. They don't work hard enough or whatever. You have to work at this league. It is work, and it can still be fun, right? Like, if you think this sucks now, go work a real job and see how much that sucks. So it's not... It's only going to get easier for Abdul Carter if he embraces the grind, right? Like, come to work every day, be happy you get to play a game for a living and you get to make tons of money doing it, and then go out on Sundays and you will do well when you put in the work, and then you'll love it even more.
That's not even the grind. We're not talking about he got suspended because he loafed in a practice. We're talking about things like
showing up
on time. That's
just
not the
get
grind.
there, bro. Just get there.
That's the prerequisite.
That's the thing too, is that it's the easy part. This is the easy shit. You just got to be there.
And you could tell with his response too that either one or two things, he's just nonchalant, like it hasn't registered with him that it's a big deal, or the criticism he got from Wesley Steinberg bothers him more than the penalty he got from the team, or not having the awareness of what the problem is. So there's a multifaceted problem going on with him right now.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing too, is that like, and I know that he's not going to listen to this, but if he does,
come on the show.
my thought process, like listen, I know that this season sucks. I get that, you probably knew at some point Brian Dable wasn't going to be your boss for much longer. I'm sure you think right now Mike Kafka is not going to be your boss for much longer. It doesn't matter. 31 other teams are going to look down on this. They don't want to deal with this shit. It doesn't matter how talented you are. There are tons of guys who were more productive than 1.5 sacks and a ton of pressures that had this same issue, and there's no tolerance for it because you've got to be there. You've got to work. You've got to be there on time. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, this is a 2 strikes and you're out league. I mean, if you fuck up once, most people will get a second chance. Kadarius Toney, somebody wanted to trade for him and give him a second chance. But those guys, if you screw up again, there are no third chances. There is no 3 strikes and you're out. So I hate to burn your first strike at 21 years old in your rookie year.
But just learn from it. I get it. I do get it. But like, well, I mean, I guess I don't. Showing up to work on time is sort of like number 1 rule. But, whatever, right? Like, just learn from it, move on. But like, don't think that like you just need to make it through this season and then you can go back to like, no, this is how it's gonna be. For the short 10-year career that you're probably gonna have, or at most like a 15-year career, or whatever. It's not a long time. I know it seems like it, but it's really not. And then you'll be able to show up late to anything you want for the rest of your life.
Well, before you're going to learn from it, you have to allow yourself to learn from it. And that takes a little self-evaluation and a little self-awareness. Because right now he doesn't have that self-awareness that the world doesn't revolve around him. It revolves around something else. So until he understands that, he's not going to learn. So that has to be figured out, and figured out pronto.
Yeah, and I'd add this one thing. Giants fans want to love you. They already do, and they will forgive you for this, but like they want to show up to the stadium on Sundays wearing Abdul Carter jerseys and then talking trash to other fans when you make sacks. That's what Giants fans want. They want to embrace you and they want to hold on to you forever. I mean, Jesus Christmas, look at the way they still rally around Lawrence Taylor, who has done very horrible things.
One of the worst human beings, ever
in
to
Giants
play for the
history.
Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, trust me, this is what Giants fans want. They want to love you. So just let them love you. Just go out there and put all of your effort into playing football, and that means showing up to meetings on time.
That's human nature. I mean, people still love Michael Jackson. People still defends OJ. You will you will get defenders if you just give a little effort.
Yeah. Overall, I don't understand what the hell happened on defense. I'm not throwing it on Charlie Boulin. I think that he did try to get aggressive. I think at sometimes it worked. It forced some throwaways. I think that it confused Drake May once or twice. But overall, I think the problem was, I don't know what the problem was, but there were communication issues when they tried to get fancy. Guys were left wide open. Like Rhamondre Stevenson had like some 30, 40-yard gain where he was just not covered because they threw a bunch of guys to the line of scrimmage and blitzed. There is I didn't really expect, honestly. I thought Mike Kafka would have more of an impact coming in for Brian Daboll than I expected anything from Charlie Bowen over Shane Bowen. Shane Bowen week 2 was not really Shane Bowen week 12. In terms of what he did make adjustments, it didn't work because this defense just isn't good. I don't totally know what the deal is. Dexter Lawrence is dealing with something. Kayvon Thibodeau is out. I will grant them that. They lost Micah McFadden right at the beginning of the year, and they have no linebacker to fill in his spot. I get all of that. And Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland are, even though they got big money, they were expecting a jump in their play because their current play from their last contract was like, I don't know, what would you call it? Like mid-tier level corner and safety, right? Yeah. So it's not like they have like, I know they spent big, but they don't have like major playmakers in the back end. The middle is tough. But I just don't know. What I don't understand is like, why are they unable to, all year it's been a thing. They're unable to win against like hurt offensive linemen. Like they just can't do it.
We're 2-9, about to be 2-10. There was a bye week coming up. The firing of Bowen felt more of a, I'm throwing you to the lions more than is this a tactical move to make this team better. I mean, if you really want to, you make the move today. So you have a bye week and you have almost 2 weeks to prepare with, if there's gonna be new terminology, a new philosophy. I mean, not going to change the defense all of a sudden, but everybody, game plans a little differently and play calls a little differently. And, I think a lot of that you saw is like on short notice, because again, when did they make the decision? What was the firing date? It was last Monday?
Monday or Tuesday, one or the other.
Okay, so it's not like, okay, let's get together and start practicing my new thing. Because remember, they gotta heal from Sunday. They gotta, you're more game planning for the other team than you're like installing anything different. So it was very condensed. I just felt like for a season, at the end of the day, the results don't matter as much as the process does. And this evaluation, I would have just waited another week and, make the move today. And then 2 weeks from now, you might see a little more coherence.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I don't have a strong opinion on the timing of it all because I think so much stuff is wacky this year, and I don't agree with a lot of the things that they did. So it's hard for me to like, you know what I mean? Like at this point, like I kind of agree with you because it's like, well, it's all screwed up anyway. But like at the same time, it's like the defense has been the one that's been letting the team down from the beginning.
Oh, there's not going to be any. They're not going to become the 85 Bears with an extra week. But
no. But it's just in terms of firings.
Can be controlled.
I'm just saying in terms of firings, like I know that Brian Daboll's the head coach and he's got to go first, whatever. But it does have at least the appearance of you're firing somebody on the offensive side of the ball, which has been pretty good all year. It's the defense that's been bad all year, and he got to stay for a little bit longer. But at the same time, I'm in the same camp of you. Is just like, who gives a shit? Like, I mean, like you're not saving anything by getting rid of him sooner.
Yeah, this team worries too much about perception too.
I agree.
So
I totally
like
agree.
who gives a shit what the perception is? Well, you got to rid of an offensive or defensive guy. It's like,
he's a dead man walking anyway. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Either just let them play, let them string out the rest of the year, and then you make the moves, or do it in a logical way where it makes the most sense if you're trying to salvage anything from this season. What's it? You want to suck out an extra win or something? I don't know, but it just didn't make sense.
So the Giants have a bye week coming up, thankfully.
Thank God.
And then we're going to see them play the Commanders, right? That's next.
We have a huge weekend. Yeah, we got before that we got Devil's Lightning on Thursday. We have the game. We have Kennewick Diner. It's talking just Giants Palooza weekend.
Yeah. So that's all coming up, but I do want to touch on Joe Schoen's press conference, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I think it's already been dissected enough, and you and I are aligned on this. Is that like press conferences are so scripted and choreographed and prepared for that they are often far less illuminating and involve a lot of extrapolation from people that don't necessarily. I mean, you just overanalyzing word by word at a certain point. But some bullet points from it is he looked incredibly uncomfortable, as he should be. He was he knew the blame was coming at him right from the get go, and he was I guess like prepared for it.
But remember, Grump, head coaches, that's part of their job, is to be forward facing and front facing. They're the ones that are going to be in the press conferences. They're the one doing the sideline interviews. They're the ones who are in front of the media. General managers they're the guy behind the curtain. They're not public facing hardly ever. And we trotted our GM usually the same weekend every year, right before the bye. I think don't we usually have like a presser like in the off season at some point. So, but he doesn't have that many opportunities to do this. So you're putting him in an uncomfortable situation to start. And it showed. It showed like a guy that has one foot on the grave, one on a banana peel.
Yeah. He did run out of there, which was really, to me, the most bizarre things about it was how incredibly late he was. This was live at 1:45. I don't think he started till like 2:20. It was not like a little bit late. Like people were like, "The fuck is going on?" Like, and then he ran the hell out of there. I mean, like he was walking away from the podium, and Jordan like had to follow up with this question for clarification, and he like threw a couple more words at the microphone and then just pieced.
It's like when any president, when they're done with their spray and they're about to go on the Air Force One and everything, it's like,
now watch this drive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was a W during the war, right? Like,
yeah.
Or
they caught him on the golf course.
It was either Katrina or the war or something. Like, this is terrible. Now watch this.
Yeah. Yeah. And he had like a message to the world, and then he's now watch this drive.
Right. Very serious thing. Yeah.
Great,
I think it was a Michael Moore movie. Yeah.
It might have been. Yeah, that could be. I mean, that's like a famous clip anyway. There are definitely fans that were not alive for that. So, fans of the show. I mean, thinking back, that I'm pretty sure that was 2005, 3.
So we had this.
If Katrina was 5, no, that might have been like 2002. So I mean, we're going back a ways. There are people who can drink who are not alive for that.
Oh my God! I'm having a bad enough week as it is. See this?
The one thing that I thought was kind of illuminating from and Joe Schoen did blame himself a little bit. He said that he didn't bat 1,000, nobody's perfect, etc. Couple things that stood out to me. Number one, when he was talking about the mistakes he made, he said that mistakes happen. It's just a matter of whether or not you learn from them. And to me, that's incredibly infuriating to hear, because the number one mistake that has been repeated over and over again and still has not been addressed has been the kicker situation. And I'm not talking about like this mistake was made week 1 and then again week 4. Like, I mean, this is 3 years we're talking about this shit now. This is unacceptable is not even strong enough word. So don't tell me you're learning from mistakes. You haven't. And if you have text messages from Brian Dable adamantly pounding the table that he wants Graham Gano, it's still on you to make sure that that doesn't happen. But show him now, because it at least absolve you of something. Because otherwise, I'm blaming you first and foremost for that one. I thought that was interesting.
I think it extends more than just kickers. I mean, I think like the wide receiver
Oh, it
room,
does.
for
It
example.
does.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain players on this roster that get favored nation status when they have no business doing it. I mean, Jalen Hyatt is useless on this team, and there were phone calls made of interest, and they wouldn't even answer the phone calls. I mean, that's just if we're for a unit that perpetually is hurt on this team, and we're not deep to begin with. One of your big things you and Bobby said before the season was you were worried about the depth in the receiver room, and inevitably Neighbors gets hurt, Slayton goes out for a while, and we have Gunnar Olszewski running routes, which I'd rather have you out there, Grump, running routes, but things aren't addressed, and a lot of it is self-inflicted. So I don't see the growth there at all.
Yeah, and to some extent, I do agree with the statement he made. Right, like he's a first-time GM. It would be kind of folly to. First of all, even the best GMs screw up. So like he does have a point there. So if you're gonna nitpick every whatever, he's gonna have more strikes than balls because he is a first-time GM. But he's not learning from those mistakes. Is the bigger thing.
He's also a first-time GM who's in year 4.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not doing an analysis like this is week 6 of his first year. Like, well, I am a first year. I'm still, making mistakes. We're talking about 4 years. I mean, I don't know what the average lifespan of an NFL GM is. I don't think it's much more than 4. I mean, some last a long time, but a lot of teams recycle. They go through GMs and coaches like nothing.
I like that you brought up year 4. That is true. It is year 4 of Joe Schoen's tenure. You have said multiple times over the course of from the moment he was hired. I mean, like right away, you had said like this is rebuild, whatever. But like until they get their quarterback, it's not really year 1 yet. And I do kind of agree with that. Whether or not I agree with that theory in terms of like how you approach things, that approach, that procedure, whatever word you want to use, like whether you agree with that or not, I think is irrelevant. That's how they're viewing it internally. I do agree with that. I think that they were given a clock on pause until a certain point. So I don't think year 1 really counted much for them. I don't know if year 2 counted much for them as they continued the Daniel Jones thing. And I know they gave him a contract and whatever. I'm just telling you the way I think they are viewing it, not the way I view it. I think the biggest thing, you've been saying that since day one, and I think that's there was a little bit of confirmation veiled in his words at a certain point that sort of showed that. To me, the thing that stuck out the most was a quote that said, early on, we've strayed a little from what we believe in. And that was something that I've been saying, and I think you've been saying too, is that 2022, they had an approach. 2024 and 2025, I would say the last 2 off seasons, they've mirrored that approach. But that 2023 season, we're coming off the heels of, outkicking their coverage, whatever, they made a bunch of moves that was not in line with what they normally do, like making like win now-ish kind of moves, like trading for Darren Waller and things like that. I think that was an admission that they thought that they were at a different point than they really were. And then because of that, they went away from their actual philosophy of roster building. That's neither good nor bad. I'm not defending anything. That's not an excuse for anything. But for me, it's validation because I do think that they somewhat learned from that mistake. I think that after that moment, and I think that's what frustrates fans too, is like you're in year 4 and you're still roster building. It's like, well, yeah, they screwed up in the beginning. They did a whole year worth of moves, set them back. Like,
which had implications going forward too. Yeah,
exactly. And it has lasting ripple effects. And you make moves and you want to make sure that they were the wrong move before you switch gears. And it has a longer lifespan, those mistakes. That disease, it festers for a little bit before you can fully get rid of it. So again, this is not an excuse, but I do think it factors into the grading system of how it's being viewed internally. Like I really do think that that initial success kind of screwed things up and it had longer lasting effects. And you know, honestly, if you want to fire him for that, I think that that's fair game. But it kind of looks like internal management doesn't want to fire him for that, and they don't want to hold him too accountable for that. So, and again, listen, maybe that's not entirely Joe Schoen's fault. Maybe John Mara, you know, had some level of say in being like, no, we're at, maybe not overruling him, but egging him on, telling him that, you know, we are at this point. Go ahead. Yes, I endorse this move. Go for this. I think we're winning. You know, whatever. Maybe
he's
rather than
publicly
being the
said
voice of reason, he was kind of the voice on the other shoulder.
he's been a public voice of impatientness, John Mara, over
Oh
the last
yeah.
several
Oh yeah.
years. So just be, you know, if that's seeping out in public comments where they're supposed to be as buttoned up as possible, you know that, you know, any sense of, like, think of the average fan, think of our friends, people who sit next to anybody. The slightest little bit gets you excited and he wants you to push it further and further. So, just to go back really quick, I did a quick search. In the last 30 years, the GM's average tenure is 6 to 6.5 years. But in the last 5 years, the average tenure has been 2.1 years. So if you know, this is Joe Shane's fourth year. He's kind of you know, using that barometer. He's kind of one of the more elder statesmen of general managers in this league.
I'm just going to add in a caveat, though. Joe Schoen aside, this is just a general statement on the tenure of GMs and what you do. I don't agree with a two. First of all, I understand the concept of like there are quick turnarounds in the NFL, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Most of those quick turnaround, I mean, like GM and head coach are not the same job. I don't agree with this nonsense like hypothesis that these guys have to be on the same page and be brought in at the same time. I don't think that you can force a head coach on a GM, but GMs interview head coaches. I mean, they're in charge of the roster and working with a head coach. It's sort of like a right-hand man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in charge of running this team. It's your job to go out there every Sunday and coach them and get, you know, whatever. You know, much like a manager and a supervisor. You know what I mean? Like, again, I hate doing business analogies to football because it's not the same. But head coaches work for GMs, and GMs should get a chance to hire more. 2 years. I mean, like, the decisions you make as a GM have longer lasting effects than your first round pick. You know, he's on a 4-year deal. You're not even getting to see your first round pick, your first ever first round pick for a team, get to the end of his contract before you're shit canned. You know what I mean? So like and the league has also cracked down on giving coaches these gigantic contracts and then firing them. Like who was the Baylor coach that that was an idiot?
Art Briles?
Who?
Was it Art Briles?
No. Matt Rule.
Oh, Matt Rule.
Yeah, he had this insane contract, and then they fired him after like 2 years. And like the NFL doesn't want that money being thrown around the way that like this unprecedented college buyout situation is going on right now. Like the NFL doesn't want that. And I kind of agree with that. Like just have some patience. I'm not, again, this is my general feeling on GMs, not Joe Schoen specifically. So, you know, whatever.
Agreed.
2 years is an insanely short time to really see the results, especially like mid-round picks could take 3 years just to develop. So
Sure. Especially when you're drafting guys, you know, 3 years out of high school. Like, you know,
yeah,
your elite picks. It's not like the old days where they played 4 years or even come back for a fifth year. They're 3 and done. And, you know, and especially if those guys have transferred to one school to another, they're not getting that base, you know, skill set that is needed in the NFL.
you know, other guys that sit at Alabama and they only get 1 year of playing time.
That's true too.
So I don't know. You got anything else on the Joe Schoen presser? This pretty much wrapping us into the bye week. I'm hoping to get over this fucking cold.
No, I'm very consistent on this show. I don't care what people say in press conferences. I don't care what they say in sideline reports. I don't care what people say after games. You know, usually these things are, you know, just either canned or just raw emotion. They're not really thinking what they're saying. I don't care what he says. To me, it's results, results, results. If he goes, he goes. If he stays, he stays. I just want a coherent plan from this organization of where do we need to be next year, 3 years, 5 years. And if that means he stays, he stays. If he goes, he goes. They keep they keep Kappa, they keep him, they dump him, they dump him. I'm tired of this organization being rudderless, and they need to have just a basic framework of what they want to be this team. And we've not seen that in a very, very, very long time.
So this is going to be a very boring couple of Sundays, but with a lot of interesting implications going into the off season coming up for this month of December. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving with family or friends or whomever, and a nice warm meal around the table.
Yeah.
And we'll get through this December quickly and get to the holiday season in before you know it. So Giants bye week this week, so enjoy it and just watch football casually with no stress.
Let's talk about things coming up, the happy things. Like, for example, we'll be talking about what we're going to be doing for that Commanders weekend. If you want to meet up with us or whatever, I'm sure you'll be talking about it on Giants Nation. Where can they find you with that, Grump?
Yeah, I'll be on Giants Nation with Bobby Skinner. I think the episode will come out Friday. I think it's going to be a mailbag episode. So I'm sure that something will come of that. We'll get some planning done on that. I think there's also like a Breaking Big Blue thing with Jordan Renan that's going to happen at the Shannon Rose in New Jersey, in Clifton, New Jersey. So
yes, I think I might even make an appearance for that.
Hell yeah, now we're talking. So all that's coming up. There's a Candlewick that I think we're going to do after the game,
cool.
For the Commanders game.
I defy anybody to eat any more flapjacks than I can eat. We'll have a $1
you guys will have a jack off.
Oh my god,
I'm proud of myself for that one. So you can see I'm dying here.
The way this season's going, it might be justified.
So yeah, all that stuff's coming up, and the details of which will probably come out. So follow on Twitter and definitely tune into Giants Nation for the details as they trickle out. Because I don't have necessarily dates or times for things yet. Just rough sketches. So like I said, like Candlewick will be the day of the game. I think it's going to be after the game, but I don't know what time because I think we might be trying to record an episode in the parking lot. I'm not totally sure what's going on. So
I heard something about that too. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, and the Shannon Rose thing has a date and a time, but I forget what it is. But
let Bobby tell us.
Yeah. or just check the Giants Nation Show socials, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or YouTube itself. And then anything else that comes up, I'm sure that we'll come up with a great idea, last minute, because that's usually what happens. So
well, it's been 12 years. We haven't had one yet, so I'm sure something will happen.
All right. So until then, we will, what are we going to do for a bye week? I guess we'll just kind of talk news, anything that comes out, probably be a short episode next week. I know we keep saying, it's going to be our normal time, and then something comes up and it doesn't. And Cranky had a basketball game.
Yeah, I think we'll, let's shoot for coming out Tuesday, but of course, I'm sure we'll be delayed for something, but we'll make it more of maybe a light show, a little lighthearted show, something without the weekly grind of this grinding team. We'll think of something fun.
All right. So until then, we'll see you guys next time. Let's go Giants.
Go Giants.